In today's market, should you even be trying to buy a house, or would renting be the better option? Well, in today's video, I want to break down the pros and cons of each and help you make a better and more informed decision. But before we get into it, make sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a new video. Okay, so first, let's talk renting. Now, there's several pros and there's several cons. A lot of people immediately look at renting and they say,
well, you're not building equity, therefore it must not be the good move.
But there are some advantages to renting. The first advantage is, depending on where you live, it may be cheaper. You may only be paying $800, $1,000, $1,200 in rent, when buying a house in the same neighborhood could be costing you $2,000 a month, depending on your house insurance and property taxes and all of those things. So it may be cheaper in the short term. The second advantage is you don't have to really worry about home maintenance. That's on your landlord to make sure that the roof is being replaced when it needs to be replaced, that if something goes wrong with the plumbing or the electrical, your landlord is the one that's responsible to fix that. That's not an unexpected expense that's coming on you as the renter, it's going to your landlord as the owner. And the third advantage is you don't have to worry about property taxes. All you have to worry about is your monthly rental payment and possibly renter's insurance, which is always good to have. Okay, so the advantages we talked about are, depending on where you live, it may be cheaper in the short term. You don't have to worry about home maintenance, and you don't have to worry about property taxes. But what are some of the disadvantages to renting? Well, the first thing is the house isn't totally your own. Sure, you have a place to live and it's a roof over your head, but maybe, depending on your landlord, you may not have the freedom to customize the house the way that you like it, if you like kind of an eclectic style, or maybe you just are tired of all of the gray and beige. You may not be able to paint and customize the house the way that you would really enjoy it. And there's always a possibility that your landlord may decide to sell the house. He has to give you enough notice if he's going to do that, but it is always a possibility. The second disadvantage is your rent may go up. Now, depending on your renter's agreement, you may have the same rent for a long time, but there also is the possibility of that going up, again, depending on what your contract states and what your landlord is obligated to do. So that is something to consider. So we talked about renting and the advantages and disadvantages there, but what about buying? What are some of the pros and cons when it comes to buying a house? Well, the first advantage to buying is obviously the house is your own. You are free to do with it as you please for the most part, as long as, if you're living in an HOA, you have to abide by the rules of the HOA and whatnot. And depending on what city or township, you still may have some guidelines in place. But in terms of your house, what color the walls are, what the flooring is going to be, things like that, you have control over that as a homeowner. Another benefit is your payment is going to stay relatively the same after that first year. Now you say, after the first year, what are you talking about? Well, property taxes may come into play here depending on when the house was last sold and how much your property taxes may end up being. Again, I did a whole video on that. You can click over and watch that, and where I explain exactly how property taxes work and the breakdown with them and why that may affect your monthly payment. So it is important to know that going in, but after that second year, if you have done your homework and you know what the property taxes are going to be each month as you pay your monthly payment that second year, once that's in place, your house payment is going to stay relatively close to the same. Again, your property taxes only go up 4% or the rate of inflation, whichever one happens to be lower. So your house payment will stay in line after that second year with inflation. So you don't have to worry about rent going up year after year. And the third benefit to owning your own home is the tax breaks that come from it. Now, in the state of Michigan, we have something called the mortgage interest deduction. This allows you to write off the interest each year on your mortgage in your taxes, as long as you're not paying more than $750,000 for the house. Now, this can be really, really helpful, especially in those first years, because a mortgage is amortized, meaning you pay more interest at the beginning than you do at the end. Especially in the early years, this can be super helpful with your taxes because you're paying mostly interest in those first years of the mortgage. Okay, so we talked about the advantages. What about the disadvantages? What are some of the cons here? Well, con number one, the inverse of the advantage with the renting, you have to pay for home maintenance. So if something goes wrong with your water heater, if something goes wrong with your furnace, if you need to fix the roof, that's all on you. You can't really, call your landlord and let him know, because you're the one who owns the house. So it's important, if you own a house, if at all possible, to start socking away some money so that if you have something like that, you can pay for it. Another option you can look into is a home warranty for some of those smaller issues such as water heater and furnace and appliances, anything that may go out that's not covered by your homeowner's insurance. So that can be super helpful as well. You may ask your realtor about a home warranty when you go to purchase the house. Usually you can get one for, last I checked, it was like $500 or $600 for a year, and that covers you the first year that you're in the home. That can be something that's super beneficial. Otherwise, make sure you're putting away some money for when those big repairs come. The second disadvantage is you gotta watch out for those property taxes. Again, I did a video on it, making sure that you know what that property tax bill is gonna look like, specifically your second year of owning the home. But that is something that you have to consider as a homeowner. Even if you pay cash and when you totally pay off the house, you're still going to have to pay those property taxes. So those are some of the pros and cons to both renting and buying a house. If you have any questions, I'd love to be a help to you. All my contact information will be in the description below. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.